예, 안녕하십니까.
Good morning. I'm Sangseock Maritime Infrastructure Finance Team Leader at the KOBC, taking time for being here with us. The work we are undertaking is something I'd like to explain to you. First, the KOBC mainly does ship financing. We often work together with ship owners in terms of ship financing, but that is not all we do. The KOBC does not only ship financing, also invests in logistic and maritime infrastructure, logistic centers, logistic assets. So we are also providing relevant M&A financing. Our team is not responsible for ship financing. Rather, we are focused on PF related to infrastructure and logistic centers. As you're well aware, it's been 6 years since the KOBC was first founded back in 2018. The Korean government holds 97% of the organization. PPA, IPA, UPA, YGPA are the entities where we serve as major shareholders, and our credit ratings are AAA according to Korean rating, and our international credit ratings are the same as Korea's sovereign ratings. So here's a snapshot of our track record. So this is the exposure we have gained through the past 6 years. The graphs are used in order to emphasize the importance of infrastructure. As you may know, shipping companies are susceptible to market fluctuations. If you take a look at the graph on the left, you can see in their EBITDA margin, they're very sensitive to market fluctuations. And on the right, we have EBITDA margin for GTO, standing for Global Terminal Operators. And their EBITDA margin is rather flat. So what we ask Korean shipping companies to focus on is avoid being fluctuated by market changes. We'd like to ask them to obtain some infrastructure assets in order to be less susceptible to market fluctuations, in order to replicate the rather stable performance shown by GTOs. Korean shipping companies have had their own share of difficulties, and in shipping finance, we have a low level of equity among these companies, so they may find it difficult to invest in infrastructure assets. But during the COVID, shipping companies enjoyed a boom. They have accumulated a certain cash which can be invested in infrastructure, which is something we are requesting. Global container shipping companies are engaged in business diversification, as shown in the slide. I'll not go into details. You are the experts on this front. Sadly, global shipping companies are trying to diversify their revenue streams. In contrast, Korean shipping companies are having trouble keeping up by diversifying their portfolio. So we'd like to ask Korean shipping companies to take on the path of diversification. My team was formed about 3 years ago. Before that, there was no dedicated team. And after the creation of our team, we have provided support for various projects. One of the key strengths of my team is we can make equity investment, we can make an investment as a senior lender or a junior investor or through the use of mezzanine. So we can make up for potential shortcomings of investment opportunities. We can participate as a senior lender. Sometimes, if necessary, we can participate as a junior investor. So we can pursue diversified financing strategies, which is our strength. And not only PF, we can also provide financing for M&A opportunities. So such diversified capability is one of our key strengths. In this case, we made an equity investment. We made an investment in Busan through the use of a joint venture. So this case is related to Port Hinterland in Incheon. We made an investment in the fund toward the project. And in North America, there was a project to construct buildings on lots, 2 in Chicago and 1 in New Jersey. So this was a development project. So we made an equity investment in the development project. We are also planning to participate as a major lender as well. And one more thing, the KOBC has been focused on ship financing. In terms of infrastructure and providing guarantee, we were not very sophisticated, but with the revision of the KOBC Act, we have been able to remove certain restrictions, notably with regards to guarantee, whether it was greenfield or brownfield, or whether it was a port or a terminal. There was an issue of being able to provide a guarantee. Now we can provide a guarantee regardless of any restraint. So we can provide guarantee, make a direct investment, or participate as an equity investment. So all these options are now open to the KOBC. Let me move on to our expansion strategy. Going forward, our key priority would be investing in infrastructure. We'd like to secure more container terminals overseas. We'll be going beyond investing in container terminals, and greenfield projects can be very challenging. We can use our networks to participate in brownfield terminals. We are trying to secure equity in a brownfield terminal project. The KDB and the KEXIM will be our partners in such endeavors. Apart from the container terminal, but also bulk terminal and tanker terminal are the ones we'd like to participate in. So, in addition to acquiring equity in assets, we are looking to M&A opportunities to acquire companies that own such assets. And as you're well aware, there are supply chain issues. Whether it is maritime or overland or air, these supply chain issues are prevalent. Hinterland and inland development, project financing for inland logistics centers are the ones we can participate in. And moving on to eco-friendliness, and oil bunkering was mainly occurred at Singapore. So bunkering was mainly done in Singapore, but LNG and methanol are next generation oils, fuels, and Maersk received ethanol bunkering in Ulsan recently. Methanol, ammonia, and hydrogen. We need to create a fuel hub for these fuels. We'd like to establish such a center in Busan. So we are working together with relevant port authorities to develop such hub. We are looking to M&A opportunities to acquire relevant expertise. Let me move on to equipment financing. At container terminals, there is a lot of equipment, not only equipment at container terminals, but also equipment at other terminals. If you ask if there is financing dedicated to such equipment, it's hard to answer that. As these are movable assets, sometimes there's a need for credit reinforcement. In the past, there was an issue of security, and outdated equipment can also pose a safety risk, but due to some issues, it was difficult to replace existing equipment with a new one. So we are exploring ways for us to cooperate with partners in order to provide financing for equipment. We'd like to launch such equipment financing program next year. And feel free to contact us if there is a need for such equipment financing. Next year, my team plans to launch 4 blind funds, and what is on the screen is one of those. Logistic providers in Korea mainly lease logistic centers overseas. And because of logistic issues and inflation, these operators are suffering from a low margin. If they lose a key customer, they have to pull out of the market due to a low margin. That made it difficult for them to acquire assets. And in the wake of inflation, they are looking at 45% increases in rent, which can translate into negative margin for these companies. So in order to address those supply chain issues, we'd like to help Korean companies acquire logistic assets overseas. And this is where the blind fund comes in. Through the fund, we can help these companies acquire So we can acquire these logistic assets through a fund. We can lease these assets to Korean companies for about 10 years, after which we can give them an opportunity to acquire these assets. And as these companies will be able to acquire these assets in the future, they'll be able to get settled in the overseas market. The fund is estimated at 500 billion won. We are planning to increase that to 1 trillion won. So we'll be developing or acquiring existing assets through our investment. Our initial target is the US. So we'll be working on the fund first thing next year, followed by 3 similar funds. If you're interested, we are, for other participants, we are thinking of PAs. So we are open to various forms of collaboration. So we are doing many things, as you can see from the slide, and I'd like to speak a little bit more, time permitting. And in the past, our major client used to be shipping companies. There are 165 such companies in Korea. Through the revision of the KOBC Act, we have entered logistics and construction. We have more than 1,300 clients. Based upon the clientele, we'll be expanding our development financing, and we'll be helping Korean companies go abroad through our support. And we'd like to encourage the participation by private sector financial services. There are many in the audience representing the private sector. I think PF overseas can be an easy avenue for us to explore. And asset managers and security firms can work together to explore overseas markets. And there should be a bigger role to be played by the KOBC, and we are welcoming your feedback. Our port infrastructure accounts for 5% of our total assets. We'd like to increase that to 50% within 5 years. So we'll be making more investments in maritime infrastructure rather than ship financing. You don't have to take my word for it. This is the position held by our top management. Then what infrastructure can we invest in? If you take a look at our basic plan, over the next 5 years, over the next 9 years rather, 47 trillion won will be invested. Next year, we'll be investing at least 1 trillion won. Infrastructure assets require a significant amount of money. So we alone cannot provide all the financing. We need to collaborate with other partners from the private sector to form a syndicate, whether we are targeting the domestic or overseas infrastructure. So let us work together to increase our cooperation. In the limited time, I covered many topics, including infrastructure and PF. Due to time constraints, if you're interested, feel free to contact the KOBC, in particular my team. Thank you.